This is from the highly respected writer John Etheridge, and this is what he's had to say in an opinion piece that he's put together. He says the antipathy towards Pietersen is astonishing. Many England players simply loathe him. They loathe his arrogance, his gaucheness, and his obsession with money. And I have to say, I admired that piece because we're very honest, called it as he saw it, which is why we invited him onto the show. Good evening, John.
Hi, guys.
Hi, John. Hi.
Now, that extract was part of a longer piece that you put together in your paper, all about Kevin Pietersen and all about the fact that he puts himself first and the team second, and the players are fed up with it. Tell us a bit more.
Well, I think I've never known a player in the dressing room to cause so much of a problem, really. He's disliked. I mean, there's no other way to describe it. The players, I think, probably a year or two ago would sort of roll their eyes and groan when Kevin spoke or did things. But now that has really moved on to a deep antipathy towards him. He's unpopular. He's loathed, as I said in the paper. And, you know, to be honest, it doesn't take much investigation, just speaking to a few players, and you know, off the record, of course, you know, not publicly, but they will tell other players and journalists that Pietersen is really a disruptive and unpopular figure in the close confines of the dressing room.
There were two things that struck me about this last few days. One was that he actually put out a statement on his YouTube page saying, OK, I will play for England, as if he expected to swan back into the squad, and everyone would basically, oh, fantastic, along comes Kevin Pietersen. But the second thing was the reaction from the ECB. They basically said, no, we're not interested. And they stuck to their guns, and I think they deserve a lot of credit for that. But it has created a huge firestorm today. Lots of people saying that they've gone about this the wrong way and criticising them. Are people getting this wrong, spectacularly so?
Well, some people will say, and it's certainly a point of view, that the failure to deal with Kevin Pietersen is a failure of management by the head coach, Andy Flower, and the captain, Andrew Strauss. You know, this is a great player. There's no other way to describe him. He's a magnificent batsman. His innings of 149 at Headingley last weekend was the sort of innings that no other man in the world can play. And you know, it could be said that it's up to Flower and to Strauss to embrace him. You know, he might be an egotistical pain in the backside, but he's a great player. You know, and it's up to the management to accommodate all characters in the dressing room. But people who say that, I don't think, understand the dynamics of a cricket dressing room. Cricket is a unique sport in as much as the players are away together for 9 months of the year. They're thrust together. They don't choose to be friends, but they're thrown together from all backgrounds, all parts of the country, all parts of the world. Kevin Pietersen, of course, comes initially from South Africa, and they have to live together, practice, play together, travel together, stay in the same hotels, have breakfast together, have lunch, dinner. They're very much in each other's pockets. A test match lasts 5 days. And it's a very claustrophobic place, the dressing room. It can be. There's no escape. You're in each other's pockets the whole time. And if somebody is disruptive or in any way a problem, then that is magnified, particularly when the team starts losing. And at the moment that they're beginning to lose the odd game here and there, and they're under pressure to maintain that number one status. So the management have decided, and I'm not in the dressing room. I can speak to people who are, but I'm not in the dressing room. But Andy Flower, who's a pragmatic man, he would want Pietersen in the side because he's the best batsman. He has decided that this is beyond the pale. These texts that Kevin Pietersen sent to the opposition, this isn't to a mate down the road, this is to the opposition, the guys you're playing against for the right to be known as the best cricket team in the world. He sent a text to the opposition in which he has been rude, offensive about the captain, Andrew Strauss, and also encouraging the bowlers to get him out. You know, and this could be dismissed as banter, but clearly the management decide that it's not banter, it's sort of gross insubordination, if you like. And they've given Pietersen the chance to apologise. They gave him 48 hours over the weekend. He didn't apologise. In fact, he didn't even admit that the text was sent in the first place, let alone apologise. So at the moment, he's out in the cold. They chose yesterday to after giving him every opportunity to kick him out of the team, if you like, for Thursday's test match. And now the only way back for him is to apologise, go down on bended knee, if you like, and say, look, I sent those texts. It was a huge error of judgment. I apologised to Andrew Strauss and Andy Flower unreservedly, and I would like to play for England again. And they might then consider picking him again. But it's a long road to travel for Pietersen to get back into the side. Many bridges have been burnt, and it really is going to be a problem for him to restore the faith that they and the trust that they want to find in their best players.
So I was going to ask you about that, and insubordination was actually precisely the word that I was going to use, and I think that particular act on its own left the selectors with not very much chance but to drop him. But what I was wondering is if you think that the actual stuff that goes on in the dressing room with the other players, in a sense, is commentary, because if Pietersen hadn't have sent these text messages, we wouldn't be having the conversation, and I think, would they not then just be going on, he'd be playing, he'd either be scoring runs or not scoring runs, the other players would not be liking him, but it wouldn't have come to a head in this way, he'd just be playing for England, and it's actually really the texts that have made this the case now.
I think, to be honest, that this is the final piece of ammunition that they needed to get Pietersen. Pietersen's been a bit of a marked man for a time. This has been going on almost for 2 or 3 years. He's never quite got over the bitterness he felt at being sacked as captain 2 or 3 years ago, and there have been a few incidents since. He was fined early this summer for criticising Nick Knight, one of the Sky commentators, on Twitter. He was fined a couple of years ago for, again, making an ill-judged remark on Twitter. It should have been a direct message, but it went out on his public feed and things like that. And there's been a lot of incidents, a lot of problems, and generally this has just worn down the patience of the management and the team. It might sound a bit feeble to some people, but the players and Andy Flower is convinced that the distraction of having Pietersen in the team is so tiring, so wearing. He takes so much managing that he's actually having an adverse effect on the whole team. So although Pietersen's a great player, they think that the other players, the likes of Anderson and Trott and Bell, who are not quite on their game this year, their performances have dropped by maybe 5 or 10% because of Pietersen.
Wow.
And there's some justification for that, because in the one-day game, Pietersen quit all one-day cricket 2 or 3 months ago, and since then they haven't lost a match. They've won every game they played, apart from one game that was washed out. So, they have proved this summer that they can manage without Pietersen, and they think that maybe by getting rid of Pietersen, their performances in Test cricket would improve as well.
Why do you think Pietersen behaves like this? What gives him the right to behave like this? Because he tried to get rid of Peter Moores, didn't he, as the coach when he was the captain. He's done all the other. He wanted to go to the IPL and not pick and choose when he played for England. He's done the things that you've already said. Why does he think he can get away with it?
He's a strange bloke, Kevin. I mean, Kevin Pietersen. I like Kevin Pietersen. He's very polite. He can be very interesting to talk to. He's polite. Some cricketers just walk past you and turn the other way. Kevin Pietersen would always stop, say hi, give you the time of day. So in that sense, he's very well mannered and polite. But something inside him just clicks occasionally, and he does the most ridiculous things. The other players will tell you, most cricketers are a pain in the backside when they're struggling, when they're out of form. Pietersen becomes a pain in the backside when he's doing well. He somehow thinks that he's invincible and he can do what he likes, and he's irreplaceable in the team. So, he has got an ego. He's driven by money, despite what he says, and these facts all sort of combine, and he does the most ridiculous things. I mean, this week it's extraordinary, some of the things he's been doing. He gave that press conference at Headingley last Monday when he was talking about dressing room tension and being me in the England team is very tough. And then he puts the thing on YouTube, at the very moment that Mo Farah's winning his gold medal in the 5,000 metres, and he does that without the blessing really of the ECB. Doesn't that video on YouTube lasted 9 minutes, and the word sorry and the word apologise didn't feature at all. And all he needed to do throughout the whole of this saga over the weekend is to say to Andy Flower, guys, I mucked up. I'm terribly sorry. I really want to play again. I won't do this again. I was feeling a bit emotional, under pressure. The texts were a huge error of judgment. But he didn't do that. He chose not to do that. They gave him every chance. They even extended the selection of the announcement of the team until 2:30 yesterday afternoon, but still there was silence coming from the Pietersen camp. He didn't apologise, didn't even acknowledge that he sent them. So his behaviour is a bit strange. I don't think he knows what he wants. He wants the glory of the Ashes, but he wants the money of the IPL, and he changes almost on a daily basis.
John, how do you expect this to resolve itself?
I don't think the door is absolutely slammed closed in Kevin Pietersen's face. I think there is still a small glimmer of hope for him. But for him to get back into the side, it will take a big climb down, a big swallowing of a large portion of humble pie. He'll have to go on bended knee and apologise. And I think that might just happen. But Andy Flower's a stubborn man. He feels upset and betrayed because Kevin Pietersen has not been telling him the truth about these text messages. And it's going to take one heck of a climb down by Pietersen. I suspect he will play for England again, but it's not going to happen soon. I think you're talking maybe weeks or even months.
John Etheridge from The Sun, really appreciate you coming on the show to give us some clarity on the Kevin Pietersen debate, and we look forward to having you back on Sports Tonight Live soon.
Pleasure.
Thanks, John.